So I want to make you aware of that. And this segues perfectly into this final week of what we're talking about, which is rise up and pray. And I've been talking with you the last 2 times I've had the opportunity to speak to you about game-changing prayers. I've done 2 of them, and here's this third one I want to start and talk with you about today. And it's very simply this. We talked the first one, we said, Lord, search me, test me, lead me. That second prayer, we started with create in me a clean heart, renew the right spirit. We said again that don't cast me away from your presence, restore the joy of my salvation. And today, this third game-changing prayer is very simply this, 2 words. Use me. 2 words, just use me. When I was a youth pastor, I can't remember what year it was, but I went to a conference in Pasadena, California. I took 3 of my students with me. Allie, who was Pastor Mike's daughter, Ed, who was like a son to me, and Chantel. Took the 3 of them. I took them to this conference because I wanted my students to get an appetite for the presence of God. See, I knew I was a good youth pastor, but I'm not with them all the time. And how many know the Lord is with them all the time? And I wanted to do whatever I could to foster them getting an appetite for what it feels like for the presence of God so that they would crave it. In other words, it was kind of like, don't just give them a fish, teach them how to teach them to love the water. And so we went to this conference. I can't even remember what it was or even the speaker, but this is one of those kind of and if y'all know, my spiritual background is kind of more charismatic, Pentecostal. And so when you have conferences where a bunch of charismatic Pentecostal types come together, you have the gamut from the hand raisers to the flag bearers. And the shofar carriers and the prayer shawl wearers. And I have nothing against any of those things. I'm not seeking to make fun or anything like that. It's just something, it's just different. But you just got an abundance of that. And so we're at this conference, and I'm watching. The worship is going. I don't really remember even the worship songs or anything. What I do remember, and this is where you're going to get a real insight into Pastor James' life, what I remember, there are people that were up front, and they really had freedom in worship. It was a great worship atmosphere. But I kept looking at how many of these people, how free they were, the banners and the shofar wearers. And what I did notice that was common no matter what part you're in, that the people in the front, all for whatever reason, decided they did not need to wear shoes or socks right in the front. And they just are dancing away, and it's warm, and they just are dancing. And in my mind, all I could think was, ooh, that carpet has got to smell with all of that just feet. And if y'all know me, I'm glad that people have them. I'm glad I have 2 of them as well. I just don't want you to put them on me, really not really near me. I don't really want to see them, because that's your life. That's your business, and this is mine. And so I, got a little thing there, but it's okay. I can do it. But I'm just thinking about that front, and I was like, I'm glad I got a seat. I don't even remember what the message was. I can't even remember who the speaker was. But whatever had happened, I was compelled, to go up during the ministry time to the altar. I do feel like that's really powerful. And I know even though, our church, what I pray is that there's continually more freedom as we have the gamut from people who had no sort of, church background to, like me, former Baptists, maybe you're like me, former Lutherans, to people that have actually been just on the far end of the charismatic Pentecostal. Whatever it is, what I love is what God has put together here. So what I do pray for is that every believer would feel the freedom to not just worship in the way that you prefer, but I pray that you feel the freedom to worship the way David did. That said, I'll get even more undignified than this. That says that when God has touched your life, that you don't really care about what people think. That our best dances are not reserved for clubs or family reunions, but they would be when an amazing God pours out himself on us. That something in us causes us to move. I'm just so stunned that we expect somebody to move we move in any other situation, but when it comes to God, all of a sudden we got to be reserved and tight but we're not that way in anything else. Even in our own homes when we're just playing around, we cut a little rug, at our house, but not before the Lord, no way. So anyway, so I come to this altar time. I really think that's important. Sometimes it helps me to focus, especially when there's a lot of big, I kind of just want to as an act and there's symbolism, I get out of my seat and I'll come forward just to like say, Lord, I'm presenting myself. There's nothing, necessarily about it. It's just symbolic, right? And so anyway, we're there, and I'm just there at this altar, and I'm just ringing, and I'm watching, and certain people are going through, and they're praying for people, and some people are falling down. Now, however you feel about that, that's on you. I mean, it's fine. I don't really, I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not really trying to convince anybody of it. I just want to mention that it does say in the Bible that Jesus knocked Saul off his horse. And I remember I'm trying to remember, Josh gave a devotion on Wednesday, and I think Josh said something about Jesus Christ being the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so I just want to just warn you before you throw stones at it. I'm just telling you that you will have a physical reaction to Jesus. I just want to bring up that when he appeared to his disciples after he rose, like the first thing he says, do not be afraid. That wasn't an announcement. That was a command to their bodies that actually saw him and were absolutely having a reaction to Jesus. In case you didn't know, you'll have a physical reaction to Jesus too. So anyway, but that's, the whole thing, do what you want, it's fine, because it's okay. I'm not, again, not trying to make anybody anything. And so I'm one of those people that, of course, I'm like, don't try and like push me or make me fall, because I'm not going to do it. Because I'm not going to perform for you. And I really don't want to perform because of where I am. Because if you all remember my first statement, I'm in the midst of the ocean of foot sweat in church. And so I'm there, and they're praying for people. And I'm honestly, I'm tuning people out because I'm like, Lord, I just want you. And so I'm not looking at anything else. And if someone comes to pray for me, I'm trying to keep it real. Like, I just want a couple things. If they come pray for me, don't push me. Please have fresh breath. That's it. Two things. That's it. So I'm just there. And someone does come over and pray for me. I don't even open my eyes. I don't want to open my eyes because I know if I open my eyes, like immediately, I know where my mind is. I'm not a judger, but I'm a judger. I'm kind of looking, I'm like, I don't know about you, and something could actually, because I could get it, if their breath is like booming, I'm like, Father, hurry up and end this prayer. Or I might go down on the ground for a different reason. It got nothing to do with the power of God. It's because you need several mints. You might need surgery. No, yeah, okay, so sorry about people that stubborn with that. I'm not making fun of you. I'm sorry. So I'm there and I don't even open my eyes. And they're praying for me and not really understanding. I don't remember what they even said. What I do remember is the weight of the presence of God in that moment. I remember it feeling not like this overwhelming, but it was a weight that was almost like pushing down on my shoulders. It was absolutely the weight of the presence of God. I knew it. And as I'm feeling it, and I can imagine, as I'm feeling just the weight of that presence, and I'm just standing there, and I'm just literally like, and I'm feeling this weight on my shoulders. What I also realize is I'm like, oh my goodness, and as I'm feeling this weight, I'm just surrendering to it. I'm just like, Lord, this feels so good. Like, anybody ever had that, like going to chiropractor or getting a massage, and you just relax? And I'm just relaxed. I'm just surrendering to that. And as I'm surrendering, I'm realizing. And can I just tell you here's what happens. Real life. You don't like lose your, but here's what I'm starting to think. I'm like, Lord, the weight of your presence. I'm tangible. This is a feeling like I've not had. I've done drugs. So I'm feeling the presence of God. In the same sense, my mind is going, you are getting closer to that floor. And so while this is happening, I'm sitting there thinking, and then I get to, and I'm being transparent with you because I believe there's freedom in truth. As the Lord is really touching me, and I'm getting close to the floor, and I remember I even got to I was like, Lord, please, not the floor. And I'm saying that, like, not the floor. And I end up laying on this floor. I'm laying on the floor, and yet I am absolutely feeling an amazing presence of God, and in the same sense, I am so just conscious of where I am, but yet I love his presence is so good, I could care less. I just didn't want people to put their feet on me. And I didn't want to turn my head to anywhere like that, so I kind of like had to, and I remember like I got almost kind of tensed up, but yet I couldn't because I was just his presence was so real. And as I'm laying on this floor, totally like in this kind of like right where we really do live, like in the presence of God, but still very conscious of where we are and all our stuff, this memory of this really painful, life-changing event came up. And I remember as I had my eyes, it was like it was playing on the screen right in front of me. And I remember as it came up, I went, oh, because it was so painful. Like I remember that. And anybody have moments like the Lord's pulled you out of? You really, like, you're grateful and you don't mind telling the story, but you don't really want to like relive it again. You want it at a distance. You want it to be a memory, but I don't want the feelings attached to it. And yet this moment, I had the feeling attached to it, and I remember, at the end, I just went, oh. And as I'm laying there here in the presence of the Lord, I just said, Lord, why did you bring this up? Why did you bring this up? And in that moment, he said, James, if you want to be someone that I use to help people heal greatly, then James, you have to be someone that I have greatly healed. And I laid there, totally offended by my surroundings, but just moved on by the presence of God that changed my life. And so when he said that, all I could do was I just said, okay. Okay. And then the second thing he said, James, salvation is free, but healing sometimes hurts. And again, I just said, okay. And allowed him to go to a deeper place in my life to bring healing, because you can't give what you don't have. And if we want to go to and I'm not saying, please hear me, my tears are ones of absolute just strength, because I love the fact I remember those days, and what I feel bad about is I probably don't talk about them to our church as much as I should. Because there's a part that doesn't want to be looked at as weird or that, because we have such a eclectic and diverse group of people. But your diversity is not my issue. Because diverse group of people can still be messed up and still need a real presence of God in their life. And if nothing else, where I didn't come here, God didn't call us here to fit. He called us here to make a difference. And so if someone says, how do you make a difference? It's not by our music and lights. It's not by anything that we do. We're not performers. What the difference is it's the presence of God that we contend for every person's life. And this part about use me, it was this place of going, okay, Lord, like this thing, like it shouldn't be painful for you to use me. But I remember it being a life-changing moment for me, that same place where I just surrendered and I said, use me. And really, ministry for me really changed. Luke chapter 22, starting at verse 31, because I know my folks are getting a little nervous, that my theologians. So where's the scripture at in all this? So here it is, Luke 22, 31. Scripture says, this is Jesus talking to Peter, Simon. He says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift you all as wheat, but I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brother. And so here's what he tells him. Simon, Satan's asked to sift you. And so I prayed for you that your faith hasn't failed, that your faith doesn't fail. But he tells him, when you have turned back, so he prophesies to him, you're going to hit the bottom. You're going to have a bottom experience. But he lets him know that bottom experience won't have you, and you will come out of this. And when you have turned back, he prophesies to him, you're going to leave me, but when you come back, strengthen your brother. And what I want to be very clear is this. Pastor James didn't get to be Pastor James because I had a mountaintop experience. Pastor James got to be Pastor James because he got dropped on the foot floor. He got put in the dough place. God did not find me doing well. God found me absolutely out of my mind, tore up from the floor up. And when nobody knew what to say to James, he reached out through key relationships and people and found me somewhere. And when I never thought I would ever have the opportunity, the privilege to stand in front of people and tell them about what God would do, it was at the lowest point when I didn't even want to hear his voice. He had the nerve to begin to show me a life he wanted me to live. How dare him speak to me in my filth? Talk to me when I'm doing better. Talk to me when I'm feeling better. Don't talk to me when I don't even feel like talking to you. Don't talk to me when I have bottomed out. Don't talk to me now. Leave me alone, because if you were really God, you would have never let me bottom out. And after I tantrumed with him and all that, he'll tell you, I let you bottom out because I was down there waiting on you. And it is this thing there. It says, when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. And here's this place that we don't want to talk about in Christian life, but use me has a price. So I don't want you to pray it. I don't want you to pray it. I just want you to say it. Can you all just say it, right? You just say, use me. Can you just say that with me? Go, say it. Use me. Use me. I don't want you to pray it yet. Because it's not fair to tell you that and not tell you the price. But I want you to understand that. I want you to get it out of your mouth so you hear, use me. Because that moment when I'm in the presence of God and I'm like, okay, yeah, use me, there's a cost to that. And it is simply this, because use me means I want to go from where I am to what you have for me to be. And here's where I want to start today, that the difference between where you are and where God wants you to be is the level of pain that you are willing to endure. That use me has a cost. That there is a pain involved in this process. That thing that when I was looking at, how did you bring that memory up again? Like, how is that? And he's not inflicting you from pain. He is removing the pain from you. But we can live, and we have mastered a Novocaine life where we are so distracted by so many things that we don't ever quite feel the harm and hurt of sin and things that have been in our lives. So we never feel that to where we really want deliverance from it. Because when I go to the dentist, I don't want to feel nothing. I want my teeth fixed, but I don't want to feel it. Am I the only one that's that way? I chose my dentist because he's good at Novocaine. He's good at, I don't even feel the shot or nothing. I love him. I drive a long way to go see him because I love him. But I'm encouraging you that this place, this Novocaine life, there's something in us that starts to say, I should be feeling something. And the difference between when we look at it is the level of pain that we are willing to endure. Sometimes it's the currency demanded of a specific goal that you want in your life. And here's the danger of it. The danger is that you can develop poor character and become a coward when you are willing to sacrifice anything to avoid pain. You will sell your soul. So I don't have, Lord, I'll do anything for you but change. Because there's nobody that gets healed by Jesus and is the same. That when he touches your life, and there's some things you cannot go back to, that you won't. You lose an appetite for. And I'm telling you that you can develop poor character or become a coward when you'll do anything to avoid pain. Hebrews chapter 12, starting at verse 1. Again, I want to make sure I check off the mark from my theologians. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses to this life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance. Say endurance. Let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. So to endure means it's probably going to be a while. Endurance is usually not for sprinters. Endurance is something that you talk to marathon. So I want everybody to get this. When he talks about running with endurance, it's going to be longer than you think. But he still expects you to make it. He still expects you to thrive. He still has an expectation that you can make it. And so let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. We do this. How do we do it? He tells us we do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he, meaning Jesus, endured the cross. Pain. He endured pain. Because of what? What was awaiting him. He endured the pain of the cross, disregarding its shame. So now I get pain and I get shame. They're going to afflict me and people get to see it. He says they endured the cross, endured shame, and now he is seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. Think of all of the hostility he endured from sinful people. Then you won't become weary and give up. After all, you haven't given your lives in your struggle against sin. It's in the Word. It's in the Word. So we talked about 2 weeks ago, I brought the idea that God has determined your calling. God has not predetermined your accomplishments or your impact. So the gifts and talents and abilities that you have are in you, but how far they go, God has a plan, but he's not predetermined that because there's a will involved. There's a level of paying the price that's involved. It's when Jesus says, count the cost to follow me. He is talking about this very thing, that your accomplishments and impact are going to be the level of cost you are willing to pay to follow him. And the difference, the first point, from where you are to where you want to be, sometimes the level of pain that you are willing to endure. Really? Yes. Spiritual things physical things imitate spiritual principles. Really? Yes. Because no matter what, if you're going to bring life into this world, for a woman, that is going to involve some kind of pain. Definitely a whole lot of discomfort. But it is the process. There's no way it happens outside of that. It is a level of pain that so if you never want to feel pain in that way, I'm just never going to have children. You can adopt, but I want to let you know that even though you may have labor pains, you will definitely have child-loving pains. Because when they're your own, they're your own. That's a place for a good amen, parents. That's where you got right there. That's some amen right there. There's some days when you look and you see that child sick and you think, I'd rather be sick than them be sick. I'd rather throw up than them throwing up. I'd rather hurt than that child hurt. Don't let them have to get an IV or something like that. You just would rather, it'd just be over. Don't let them have to get stitches you would rather. I'll take them rather than my baby. God has determined your calling. And here's Pastor Chris Hodges puts it like this. He says, your life can stay as small as you, or it can be as big as God. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. So then we get to this place where I want to go today, which is this. If you want to fulfill the potential plans God to use us, then we have to ask God to increase our pain threshold. Stop asking God to just take pain away. Ask God to get tougher than pain. Ask God to increase your pain threshold. Because if they did it to Jesus, they're going to do it to you. He came that we would have life and have it more abundantly, but he didn't come that we would have life and have it with no challenges. There's some things that we got to get tougher in this world. We can't sit here and live in a world where the world is tougher than believers. They can say what they want, do what they want, and all we want to do is appease, and we want to be friends. No, there's a time where you got to stand up and say no to hell and yes to God. I speak to our students and I tell them, don't be followers, be leaders. In your school, be a leader. Train yourself now to be a leader. And I want to let everybody know that when you lead, you will not be popular. Leadership is not about popularity. Leadership is about something in you that says, God, you placed a call on my life to have an impact so that people's lives would be better. And you've given me the influence to make it happen. And so they spit on you in the process. You wipe it off and you say, too bad, so sad, oh well, I'm still bigger than that. And you keep leading. Because you realize it's not about you. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because God's called you to do it. And for young people who are waiting for the light switch to go on, like one day leadership light comes on and goes, oh, now I'm a leader. No, sir, you practice. No, ma'am, you practice being a leader. You start now and you take that into your adult life. And you learn to take no for an answer. A leader cannot sit here and wait for everybody's approval. You think I can do it? You think I can achieve? You think I can be great? What do you think? Can I have your approval? Can y'all tell me I'm good? Can you tell me I'm attractive? Can you tell me I can do it? That's not leadership. Leadership says, I know who I am, and if you can't handle it and it makes you feel small, then you just stay small. But daddy's walking on, and you can stay back there. Leadership. You don't take surveys till you want information. Leadership don't ask questions you don't really want answers to. How in the world some of you all asking people that you know you were past for advice in your life and your marriage? They can't stay married, can't even stay in a relationship, but you're going to go to them first. What you think I should do? Why in the world are you a D trying to cheat off an F? That wasn't Southern, but I'm going to make it up. That's mine right there. That's mine. That may work. Okay. So ask them how to increase their pain threshold. Y'all still with me? We still good? Hey, don't get me. I'm not mad, I promise. I'm not mad. Don't angry black preacher. No. I'm good. So we also got to increase our pain threshold. 4 areas. Number 1, increase our pain threshold for criticism and unjust rejection. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You got to live your life with integrity. Pastor Craig said this over an incident that happened here when we moved here. Someone was not being truthful, and I called him. He's mentored me, and he said this: no life that is dedicated to God can be taken down by a lie. Come on, stay with me. Right there. That should be added into the Bible for Christians, because Lord knows if somebody says something false about us on any social media platform, we got to wage war. Hell has no fury like a Christian that feels like someone didn't tell the truth. Hey, in case you didn't leave the word, when Jesus is on trial, the Bible says they got people to lie about him. And it cost him. But it couldn't be taken down because he's not there no more. They may have got him a little while, but they didn't keep him in the ground. Anybody remember he got up? Anybody grateful for that? And it's not going to hold him down. It's a blessing. You got to choose the right fight. You got to have the will to fight every time, but you cannot fight at every opportunity. Okay? You keep your will to fight, but you got to know strategy. You got to fight the right fight. Some things are just that's not the battle for you. So you got to move on. And then you got to know when the ones that are, you got to know those are the ones, and you got to fight those. But not everyone is the case. Don't worry about that screen. It's going to keep doing it because it's too much truth and it can't handle it. But it's going to be just fine. That's why you got digital notes. You're going to be just fine. Here's your second one. You got to increase your pain threshold for, ready? Making painful decisions. Increase your pain threshold for making painful decisions. Ask for God for the courage to do what is right. Pastor Craig puts it like this. He says, the best are really willing to hurt. You got to be willing to hurt. Because it's painful, because flesh wants it so badly. It's painful because We have to resist opportunity to manipulate. It's painful when revenge and getting even is within our rights and within our grasp. It's painful, but we got to make the right decisions. You got to ask God to increase your pain threshold for making painful decisions. In a believer's life, you're going to come to places where you got to make some painful decisions. There's some relatives you just can't be around a whole lot. There's some numbers you need to delete out of your phone. There's some people you need to block. There's some things you got to unfollow. There's some things you got to, painful decisions. There's some classmates, Lord have mercy, our devotion to people that we went to school with. You would swear they were blood relatives. Look, if that classmate and you are always bad news, then you need to stop being a classmate. When I was a child or when I was in school, I thought I was a schoolmate. I did what schoolmates do. But when I became an adult, I put away schoolmate things aside. That's the book of 2nd James. I grew up. I stopped doing them things. It wasn't funny. See, what was funny when you were a minor is a felony as an adult. So I'm encouraging you. You got to put away childish things. And, look, hey, I know you was all that in high school, but the Letterman jacket don't fit no more. Stop. Just stop. Get a sweatshirt instead. Do something else. But everybody sees it. You don't. Everybody at the game is not looking at you thinking, man, y'all remember that? They're looking going, that jacket is tight. He couldn't button that thing up if he tried. Them buttons would be like, ah! If he tried to put them buttons together. They'd be straining so hard. Father, help me. Let me get back on track. Here we go. I'm sorry. Let me go to number 3, focus. Here's your third one. You got to ask for increase our pain threshold when it comes to, here's this other one, about our blind spots. Because no one likes hearing about their personal flaws or challenges. Is there anybody here that loves hearing about them? Because I don't. And so none of us sees our own life with 20/20 vision. Anybody here own a car? Anybody got a car? Anybody own a car? Grayson, do you own a car? Not yet? Okay. We're going to work on it. I'm going to prophesy about, I don't want to get in trouble with mom and dad yet. We're going to put a Honda in your future, though. All right, so we got a car. All right, got a car. You own that car, that's yours, right? Because you're paying the note or you paid it off, right? Amazing thing about that car, it's got 2 side mirrors, correct? What are those side mirrors? So you can see, but even in the car that you own, that you're paying for, that's yours, even with those side mirrors, you still have blind spots in something that you own. In your own life, it's the same way. There are people that are mirrors on your sides, but even in your own life, you have blind spots, even though it's your life. And so you got to ask for pain, to increase your pain, that when it comes to hearing about those things, there's some things that are not good about us, and we need to make changes so we can not be accepted by God, but so we can grow. He already accepts you, but it's about growth. You got to ask God, here's the thing, you got to ask God to, number one, you got to ask God to remove our blind spots so we can see ourselves clearly. The second thing, you got to ask the Holy Spirit to complete His work in our life. Can you just take a moment right there? And would you just take a moment? Would you just pray that right now if you feel so led? Just, Holy Spirit, would you complete the work that you started in my life? Would you complete the work you started in my life? I didn't start this thing, you did. And it's not my job except to be present at the finish line. But you're doing the work. Complete the work that you started in me. Here's the third one. You got to ask God to allow you to see yourself like He sees you. We have spent our whole life letting other people define how we look. And I'm telling you, you'll get a freedom when you let the Lord, ask God to see the way that He sees you. There's some responsibility that comes with that. But I'm telling you, that if you saw yourself the way God sees you, some of you are convinced that you're a failure. The Lord is not seeing you that way. He does not see you that way. Some of you remember what they said about you in high school. Some of you still remember what relatives are saying about you now. You remember what they said about you in the yearbook. You still what they said, what that one teacher said, what that one counselor said, what that one whoever said something to you, and it has been a absolute thorn in your flesh because you really, something in you agrees with what they said. But I'll tell you this, the Bible says if your heart condemns you, God is greater than your heart. You better let that thing go. The only trustworthy one is the Lord in your life. And you ask the Lord, let me see myself the way that you see me. Here's this fourth one. Got to increase our pain threshold to endure God's pruning process. I never thought about what roses go through. My grandmother would prune them every year. I would see and I would just think, that lady done killed that bush. I don't know how she did it. It had so many beautiful roses. Oh, Lord, she took them shears, and she'd be cutting them. Y'all remember them shears that they had? They cut through, and you could see, they cut through there, you could see. It just looks painful. Like, you never want to get your finger in that. What's amazing is pruning, when you look, the definition of pruning is this: to remove dead or excessive twigs, branches, etc., from a tree or shrub, etc., by cutting off the end, with the end goal being stronger, sustained growth. Pruning. And in God's pruning process, he removes dead or excessive things from our lives that eventually serve as a hindrance from us to being stronger and having sustained growth. And sometimes his pruning process looks like people. Sometimes it's things, sometimes it's habits. Sometimes it takes different forms, but he removes them not because the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. He removes them for our sustained growth. He has a plan. My grandmother, as much as it looked like she had massacred those roses, they always came back every year. In fact, after she died, people would drive by and say, man, your grandma always had them pretty roses. I just never knew how she did it. She was skillful at it. It never came to me because I can kill a plastic plant. But she had a skill in how to do it. Here's the key, because when you're in pruning seasons, you can almost start to go to God like, what did I do to you? And so you're blaming, and here's this, if you blame yourself for the decline, then one day you'll take credit for the increase. You got to know you're in the pruning process. Hey, everything that you're going through, it's when you're in a process, it's not because God's mad at you. What is this thing about every time there's a challenge, like it's got, well, God, what's going on? It's the process. It's the process. If you're chasing hard after the Lord and challenges come, it is not because you messed up. It's because we live in a fallen world. In some part, it may be the pruning process. You got to be open to the changes that God makes in our lives. Gabe, you come on. You come on. And here's the goal in the pruning process, that you don't fall in love with the blessing over the one that provides the blessing. It's hard in church life. It's hard when there's a pruning process. It's hard because it looks like in church life when like people that you love and they're here and then they're gone. And you can't get like bitter over it. You have to look and you have to just trust that, Lord, now, the Bible says, unless you build a house, we labor in vain. And you got to trust. There are some people that are in your lives as scaffolding, and there's some people that are in your life as pillars. Scaffolding is a temporary support for a season. Pillars are something that stay for the long term. And there's some people in your life, and it's hard to discern which ones are scaffolding and pillars. Sometimes people that are scaffolding sometimes look like pillars. They act like them. They've been there a long time. You've actually gotten used to them being there. And if you've ever seen scaffolding on the outside of a building that's under construction for a long time, you almost kind of feel like, well, that's kind of a cool architectural feature. But remember, scaffolding is always temporary support. And there's some people in your life, they are there. God absolutely put them there, but it wasn't long term. Now, we want every relationship to be a pillar, but the reality of it is you can't handle that many pillars. No building needs that many pillars. And so you got to discern. And so for some of you that have been in this tough place because people have been removed out of your life and you're kind of like, well, Lord, now what was that about? I really thought they were the one. Hey, calm down. God didn't do anything wrong. You just mistook it. You thought they were a pillar and they were just scaffolding. And there's nothing wrong with them because they were fulfilling that purpose in your life for a season. Thank God for the scaffolding. It helped you get up to where you couldn't get with a ladder. It helped you paint. It helped you renovate. And now it's done. Let the scaffolding go be scaffolding for somebody else because that's their purpose. And be grateful for the pillars that he has put in your life. And when those pillars get injured, secure them. Find out who the pillars are. Your pillar relationships, you work on them. When they start cracking, you help. You support them. You reinforce them. But you don't curse them. Don't curse the scaffolding. Don't curse the pillars. Learn to be a discerner of who is what in your life. And so today, here's how I wanted to end. Crazy thing. I asked you not to pray, use me, until you knew the cost. So agape, I've put before you the cost. Usually means that you are, like he said to Peter, when Satan desires to sift you as wheat. What's so amazing is some of you right here are reading that and you are looking like, whew, I'm glad I wasn't Peter. But let me tell you something. Satan desires to sift you as wheat. Donnie, Satan desires to sift you as wheat. Kim, he desires to sift you as wheat. Brandy, he desires to sift you as wheat. Come on, you're hearing me. So Quigley say, he desires to sift you as wheat. But I prayed for you that your faith doesn't fail you. And when you return, when you come back from whatever it costs, whatever that is, whatever Satan will throw at you, when you come back, strengthen your brother, strengthen your sister. He wants to sift you as wheat. Over and over, he wants to sift you as wheat. When you come back, strengthen your brother. Strengthen your sister. It doesn't just sift you as wheat. What I love is you don't think you're that valuable that Satan would desire to sift you as wheat. And I came this morning to tell you, oh, yes, you are. Oh, yes, you are. Your Father loves you that much that Satan desires to sift you as wheat. But Jesus prayed for you that your faith wouldn't fail. And how you know Jesus, when he prays, he gets what he wants. And so today, I want to end the day with that very thing, that prayer of use me. This is how this goes. You don't need Pastor James to lead you in that, but you do got to be present. I'm encouraging you. Listen, I know what the clock says, and I know the crock pot probably got stuff in it. I got it. But I promise you this, if you get a touch from the Lord, he'll replace that burnt roast or whatever it is. You'll be way better. So I want to ask you, I want you to just take a couple moments, right here in this moment. Right here is as that very thing, that weight of the presence of God that I felt there, you're feeling now, that very thing. Don't put God on a time. This is where, like, the clock doesn't rule. This is where you got to go, Lord, I'm right here. I'm here to be in the land of smelly feet. And so I want to start right here. Some of you, for the first time in your life, you're going to pray, use me. Because you felt like you've been used your whole life, but never by God. But I came today to ask you about that very thing. Today, you're going to play use me. And I want to tell you, there's a yes. There's a yes. There's a willing yes. But it's the cost. It's a knowledge. You now understand. That means I'm going to have to be tougher than the challenges that come. I'm going to have to get up one more time that I'm knocked down. I'm going to have to commit to what the Lord has for my life, but I'm not going to be afraid. Not one more day. Use me. You're going to realize that the painful things he may bring back up from your past are not to keep you in chains, but to set you free. Because if you want to be a person that the Lord uses to help people heal greatly, then you have got to be a person that the Lord has touched and healed greatly. And so the way we do that is we come to his table. And so today there are communion elements here and there. Now I'm going to ask Jeff if you would take those, and if you just hand those out. Dear, can you hand them on that side? And Barry, can you grab that basket? Let's end that center. And just grab one. And you don't need, listen, I know like communion, maybe your traditions have been, but here's the only requirement for communion is that you have a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. I mean, you have surrendered to him. You've made a conscious decision according to Romans 10:9 and 10. You said, I surrender my life to you. If you have not, I'm going to give you that opportunity very, very shortly. Because I'd hate you to confuse this for hors d'oeuvres. These are symbols. Symbols of a great sacrifice that was made for us, and symbol of a great sacrifice that you are willing to make in return. It says, Lord, increase my pain tolerance, increase my pain threshold. Make sure someone takes care of the balcony as well for me. I know I didn't tell you all ahead of time, and I'm just terrible as an administrator and doing that. But we can take the time. Okay, go ahead. Come on, church. I want you just listen and let the Lord speak to you this morning, okay? Right there, right where you are. Stay with me.
Son of God, come in. Take away my sin, draw me closer, so I'm never away from you. Take my life, oh God, let your will be done. As I walk this earth, I wanna be like your son. Use me.
right where you are. Just ask you to take a few moments just to have an honest conversation with the Lord right there. And if the Lord's brought something up in your life that's maybe just been extremely painful, that you kind of, even a past, you're even embarrassed, like even like it's, you would say even shameful. I mean, encourage, that's not the enemy. Just, would you let the Lord bring that up so you can really walk free of it? Maybe you're here and you and the Lord, like you are in a great place. And what I want to encourage you to do is ask him then for greater fire, greater impacts, that you would be a good steward of this life that you've been given and this season that you were in. Whatever that would be, maybe some of you in this same place where you're thinking the Lord is mad at you, and so you've kind of been dodging him, and like you know he won't kill you, but you just kind of like, you know you're kind of on the naughty list. And I just want to tell you, the Lord's not Santa Claus. You don't have to dodge him. That if you really saw him this morning and in relationship to you, he's not like this. He's like this. So this morning, I want you to, okay, just again, he's going to just do a couple more stanzas of that. When you feel comfortable, you take communion, you and the Lord, right where you are when you're ready. And then what I am going to ask is for Shirley and my wife, and Jeff and Kim, just in a couple minutes as we get done, if you need prayer for endurance, like your pain threshold, like Pastor James, look, I'm not praying about more because I'm just maxed. And I want you to come up and they're going to pray with you. Here's how that's going to go. No one's going to push you down. No one's going to mess with you. Barry, come on, stand up here, help me out. So no one's going to, right, you're just going to come over here and watch this. Barry, go ahead, turn them and face me, my friend. Go ahead and face me, because you all going to, because we're Southern people, like we don't want our business out in the street. So they're just going to agree with you. For me, when I'm praying for people, I'm just like this. There's other times where I will put my hand on them, or I'm just praying for them. Nothing mystical about it. We're just praying for people. Point of agreement, okay? No one's coming, Barry, can I mess with you? Just look. No one's coming to be like, no one's doing that, okay? So calm down. Because I want to use humor just to, again, break down the walls of what the enemy would try to do. So today, if you need something, don't leave here the same way you came. You keep asking, Lord, I want. Lord, help me. And when he gives you the prescription, you say, I want to take that. I didn't want to go into the smelly feet place. But I'm telling you, I don't get here without dropping my pride and going there. Don't be so prideful that you leave limping the same way you came in when the healer's in the house. So I'm encouraging every person, take communion when you're ready. These ones will be up here to pray with you. Let's just take again. Come on. Give me 10 minutes, I promise. It'll be best 10 minutes of your life if you do it. Those of you that feel so compelled, and I'm just encouraging you to pray for those that will come up. Harold and Rhonda, I want you all to come help as well. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Come on, take a couple minutes right where you are. Thank you, my friend. Go ahead. Appreciate you. Thank you. Stay right there for me. Right there. I'm having you have a seat for me. Right there. Right there. Come on, right there. A couple minutes. As they ministered a couple more times, you receive that when you're ready. Somebody take care of the tech team as well, that they get theirs as well. I want to make sure they're serving. They don't have to miss out. Thank you, Lord. Go ahead, Gabe, one more time. A couple more times, my friend.
I just want to say something real quick. I know Pastor James said this was going to be about 10 minutes, and normally this is the time of the service where we would do our announcements. But I just want to say, like, if there's anyone still here and you're not coming up here because you think that we're about to start announcements or we're about to close service, we're not. We're not going to do that. So what I'm going to ask is, if you've just been holding off or you've just got this like butterflies in your stomach feeling, and you feel like you need to talk to someone about that, like, do that right now. We will hold service off. We will stay as long as you guys need. So if you just feel that moment and you just feel like these butterflies in your stomach, like you're nervous and you don't know if you want to walk up here, do it. Walk up here. Challenge yourself. Get free in this moment. So we're going to continue this moment. We're not going to do our announcements right now. If you need freedom, if you need to just talk to somebody, don't wait another minute. Come right down here.
If you can use anything, you can use me. If you can use anything, you can use me. If you can use anything, you can use me. Use me.
microphone off. Didn't realize. I'm sorry about that. Thank you all so much for being here today, and thank you for taking a little time as it's just hard to see people that the Lord, when people are hurting, they need Jesus, and we can take time for that. Is that okay? Is that always okay that we can take time and let the Lord just talk to people? We're grateful for that. Listen, while you're here, if you're here today and you need to surrender your life to Jesus or rededicate your life, whatever that would be, my heart has always been that we never scare people to come into Jesus. It's important. Coming to Jesus to miss hell is really a good reason, but it's not the best one. The best one is when you realize that he loves you so much that he gave his son Jesus for you. And coming and knowing like I'm an invited guest, like he wants to change my life, like he really wants to touch me is an amazing thing. And so I encourage you today, if you need to surrender your life to Jesus or make a decision in that regard, we want to pray with you. And so I'm up there and I'm going to have you lift your hands, whatever, but I'm right there. I'm just going to pray with you. And if you would, church family, if you all would, you pray with me as well for those that are going to make this decision. And then I'll give you some instructions after that. So if you need to surrender your life to Jesus or rededicate your life, would you just pray with me right now? Simply say these words: Father God, I have sinned. I have made mistakes, and I'm asking for your forgiveness. You said in your word, if I surrender my life to Jesus and believe in my heart that you raised him from the dead, I will be saved. So Jesus, I surrender my life to you. Father God, I choose to believe that you raised Jesus from the dead. And right now, according to your word, I am saved, I'm your child, and I'll never be the same again. In Jesus' name, amen.